The stars hung silent in the outer veil, that sparse region of space where law meant little and predators thrived. Here, far from the watchful eyes of the Council of Aligned Worlds, the strong took what they wanted and the weak learned to run fast or pay tribute. For 300 years, the Vathek marauders had ruled these dark spaces between the stars, their reputation built on countless successful raids and the broken hulls of those foolish enough to resist. Chieftain Krelnax stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Void Talon, watching his prey drift closer on the tactical display. 6 warships surrounded the lone vessel like hunters circling wounded prey. The target was a simple cargo freighter, its hull painted with the markings of human origin. The ship was called the Merchant's Hope, and according to his scanners it carried valuable medical supplies and rare earth metals. Easy pickings. Krelnax was a massive creature even by Vathek standards, his forearms ending in razor-sharp claws, his scaled hide bearing the scars of 100 battles. His species had evolved as apex predators on a harsh world where only the strongest survived to breed. That instinct had carried them to the stars, where they found the galaxy full of soft species ripe for exploitation. "Hail them," Krelnax ordered, his voice a deep rumble that made his crew straighten with attention. Let them know their options. The communications officer, a younger Vathek named Dreth, activated the transmission. On the view screen, the human cargo ship continued its trajectory, apparently unaware or unconcerned about the 6 warships now blocking its path. Unidentified human vessel. This is Chieftain Krelnax of the Vathek Marauders. You have entered our territory. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resist and you will be destroyed. Comply and you will live. You have 60 seconds to respond. It was the standard speech refined over decades of successful raids. Most species immediately powered down and begged for mercy. Some tried to run, which only made the hunt more entertaining. A few tried to fight, which usually ended within minutes. The Vathek had learned to read species patterns. Humans were new to the galactic stage, barely 2 generations since first contact. They would follow the pattern like all the others. The seconds ticked by. 50, 40, 30. Still no response from the human ship. "They are not reducing speed," reported the sensor operator. "Their engines remain at full power." Krelnax felt a flicker of annoyance. Perhaps these humans needed a demonstration. Target their engines with a warning shot. Show them we are serious. The Void Talon's weapons officer fired a plasma bolt that streaked across the void and splashed harmlessly against the cargo ship's rear shields. It was a precise shot, close enough to show capability but far enough to avoid real damage. Standard procedure for breaking stubborn prey. 20 seconds. The human ship finally responded. The view screen flickered to life, showing a human male sitting calmly in what appeared to be the ship's bridge. He was perhaps 50 standard years old, with gray threading through his dark hair and lines around his eyes that spoke of long years in space. He wore a simple captain's uniform, nothing fancy or military. His nameplate read Captain Marcus Reeves. "This is Captain Marcus Reeves of the Merchant's Hope," the human said, his voice steady and calm. "You've made a terrible mistake." Krelnax felt his mandibles click in what passed for amusement among his kind. This was new. Most captains either screamed defiance or blubbered pleas. This human showed neither fear nor anger, just a simple statement delivered with the calm of someone discussing the weather. "The only mistake, human, is yours if you choose to resist," Krelnax replied. "We have 6 warships to your 1 cargo vessel. Your shields cannot withstand sustained fire. Your weapons, if you even have any, are no match for ours. Power down now and you will be treated according to concordant laws. Continue this foolishness and I will blast your ship to atoms." The human captain leaned back in his chair, and something flickered across his face. Not fear, something else. Something that made Krelnax's predator instinct suddenly whisper warnings he chose to ignore. "Concordant laws," the human repeated slowly. "That's the agreement where pirates get to steal cargo as long as they don't kill civilians unnecessarily. Where raiders take what they want and the victims just accept it, because that's how things are done in this part of space." "You understand correctly," Krelnax said. "Then you understand you have no choice." "Oh, I understand perfectly," Captain Reeves said. His hand moved to something off-screen. "The problem is you don't understand at all. You see, Chieftain Krelnax, you've made several incorrect assumptions today." "I grow tired of this," Krelnax snarled. "You have 30 seconds to comply or I open fire." First incorrect assumption. The human continued as if Krelnax hadn't spoken. You assumed we would follow your concordant laws. Humanity never signed that agreement. We don't recognize it. 20 seconds. Second incorrect assumption. Captain Reeves's voice remained perfectly calm, almost conversational. You assumed this is just a cargo ship. 10 seconds. Third and final incorrect assumption. The human captain's eyes hardened, and his voice dropped to something cold and sharp. You assumed humans are like other species you've hunted. We're not. Time is up. Weapons target their... You should have checked which species you were ambushing, Captain Reeves interrupted. Then he smiled, but there was no humor in it. Fire. The merchant's hope transformed. Panels along the hull that appeared to be simple cargo sections suddenly split apart and folded back. Hidden weapons emerged from concealed bays. What had looked like standard shipping containers were actually disguised missile launchers. The simple cargo freighter revealed itself to be something else entirely. A Q ship. A wolf in sheep's clothing. All ships evasive action, Krelnax roared. But it was already too late. The human ship opened fire with weapons that made the Vathek sensors scream in confusion. Not plasma, not lasers, something else. Solid projectiles moving at incredible velocity, propelled by magnetic acceleration, railguns, his tactical officer would later tell him, if any of them survived to write a report. The first salvo hit the raiding ship Crimson Fang before its captain could even process what was happening. The Vathek shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, did almost nothing against solid metal traveling at relativistic speeds. The projectiles punched through the shields like they weren't there, tore through the hull and detonated inside the ship. The Crimson Fang broke apart in a chain of explosions that painted the void with fire and debris. Return fire, Krelnax screamed, his ships tried. Plasma bolts and particle beams lanced toward the human vessel, but the merchant's hope was already moving. It accelerated hard, pulling maneuvers that should have been impossible for a ship that size. The human vessel twisted and rolled, evading fire with precision that spoke of military-grade engines and structural reinforcement hidden beneath that cargo ship exterior. The second wave of human weapons launched. Missiles, dozens of them, more than should have been possible to fit inside that hull. They didn't fly in straight lines like Vathek torpedoes. They split apart, multiplied, came from different angles. Each missile moved independently, adjusting course, adapting to countermeasures. The raiding ship Shadow Strike took hits from 6 different vectors simultaneously. Its shields collapsed. Its hull ruptured. The ship's reactor went critical and vaporized in a flash that briefly outshone the distant stars. Retreat! All ships retreat, Krelnax ordered, his pride forgotten in the face of this impossible threat. But the human ship wasn't done. A third ship, the Blood Drinker, tried to break away but found its engines suddenly offline. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse had disabled its primary systems. The merchant's hope closed the distance in seconds and fired again. This time, precise shots that crippled rather than destroyed. The Blood Drinker went dark, drifting helplessly. 3 ships down in less than 2 minutes. Krelnax's remaining ships scattered, abandoning all formation, each captain thinking only of survival. The Void Talon turned hard, its engines screaming as Krelnax pushed them beyond safety limits. Status, he demanded. 3 ships destroyed, 1 disabled, his tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. The human ship is pursuing. Chieftain, our shields are at 70% and falling. Whatever weapons they're using, our defenses aren't designed for this. On the view screen, the human captain's face appeared again. Still calm, still collected. This is Captain Reeves to all Vathek vessels. You have 1 chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and engines immediately. You will be boarded and detained. Resist and you will be destroyed. This is your only warning. Never! Krelnax roared. We are Vathek! We are, his words cut off as new sensor contacts appeared on the tactical display. More ships. Human ships. 3 of them. Smaller and faster than the merchant's hope. Dropping out of some kind of stealth field that had concealed them completely. The sensor officer's voice cracked with panic. Chieftain, 3 human warships just appeared. They're flanking our retreat vector. We're surrounded. Krelnax stared at the tactical display in disbelief. This had been a trap. From the very beginning, this had been a trap. The cargo ship had been bait and he had taken it eagerly. Now the hunters had become the hunted. The 3 new ships had transponder codes: Retribution, Reckoning, and Reprisal. They were corvettes, fast attack ships bristling with weapons. They moved with a coordination that spoke of professional military training, cutting off escape routes, herding the remaining Vathek ships like prey animals. "Orders, chieftain?" his weapons officer asked, but Krelnax heard the defeat in his voice. For 300 years, the Vathek had been the apex predators of the Outer Veil. They had raided thousands of ships, taken tribute from dozens of species, and built an empire on fear and violence. And in less than 3 minutes, a single human cargo ship had shattered that empire like glass. "Power down weapons," Krelnax said quietly, the words tasting like ashes in his mouth. "Prepare to be boarded." As his crew reluctantly followed his orders, Krelnax understood something that would soon spread throughout the galaxy. Humans didn't follow the old rules. They didn't accept the way things had always been done. And most importantly, they didn't forgive those who attacked them. The galaxy had spoken in fear for centuries, accepting piracy and raids as simply the way of things. Humanity had just spoken in fire, and everything was about to change. The boarding happened with brutal efficiency that left Krelnax feeling like prey for the first time in his long life. Human Marines breached the Void Talon's airlocks in armored suits that made them look like walking tanks. They moved through his ship with weapons raised, clearing corridors with practiced precision. No shouting, no chaos. Just cold professional efficiency. Krelnax and his bridge crew were secured in less than 10 minutes. The humans used some kind of fast-hardening foam that locked his forearms to his sides, rendering his natural weapons useless. They handled him without fear, without hesitation. One of the Marines, a woman whose nameplate read Sergeant Chen, looked him directly in his multifaceted eyes and spoke through a translator. "You're under arrest for piracy, attempted murder, and about a dozen other charges we'll explain in detail later. You have the right to remain silent, though I doubt you will. Move." The holding area where they took him was a converted cargo bay on one of the human corvettes, the Retribution. Other Vathek warriors from his fleet were already there, looking as defeated as Krelnax felt. Through the viewport, he could see his ships being searched systematically. The humans were taking everything, recording everything. Captain Reeves entered the holding area an hour later. Up close, he seemed older than he had on the view screen. Tired lines around his eyes, a slight limp that spoke of old injuries, but his gaze was sharp and assessing as he looked over the captured pirates. "I'm going to explain something to you," Reeves said, his voice carrying easily in the quiet space. "Something you need to understand before we proceed. You ambushed what you thought was a helpless cargo ship. That was your first mistake." He gestured to one of his crew who activated a holographic display showing the Merchant's Hope's specifications. "This ship is what we call a Q ship. During Earth's old wars on our oceans, we used to disguise military vessels as merchant ships to hunt submarines and raiders. The concept works just as well in space. Hidden weapons, military engines, reinforced hull. Everything disguised to look ordinary until it's too late." Krelnax watched the display show cutaway views of the ship's true nature. Weapon bays hidden behind false panels, missile tubes disguised as cargo containers. It was elegant in its deception, and he hated that he appreciated the craftsmanship. "Your second mistake," Reeves continued, "was assuming we operate under your concordat laws. Humanity has a different philosophy about piracy. We learned it over thousands of years on Earth. If you let pirates escape, they just attack someone else. If you negotiate with them, you teach them that threats work. The only way to stop piracy is to make it so dangerous, so costly, that nobody is willing to try." One of the younger Vathek, Dreth, couldn't contain himself. "You could have let us go. We surrendered. The concordat laws say—" "We don't follow your laws," Reeves interrupted, his voice hardening. "You want to know what human law says about piracy in space? The same thing it said about piracy on our oceans. Pirates are hostis humani generis, enemies of all mankind, and we treat them accordingly." He pulled up another display, this one showing data that made Krelnax's blood run cold. Ship names, dates, cargo manifest, crew rosters. "We've been tracking your clan for 8 months, Reeves said. This," he pointed to the display, "this is every ship you've raided in the past 5 years. 127 vessels from 14 different species. 342 beings killed when they resisted. Thousands more traumatized. Billions of credits in stolen goods." Krelnax stared at the data. It was all there. Every raid. Every kill. Every piece of stolen cargo. How had they gathered this information? How long had the humans been watching? Your third mistake, Reeves said quietly, was thinking humans are soft like the other species you've terrorized. We're not. You see, Chieftain, humans come from a death world. We evolved alongside predators that made your species look gentle. We survived ice ages, plagues, disasters that would have ended most civilizations. And when we finally reached the stars, we brought all those survival instincts with us. He leaned closer to the containment field, close enough that Krelnax could see the absolute conviction in his eyes. You made the fatal mistake of attacking a human ship. Now you're going to learn what that means. The trial began 3 weeks later, held aboard the human carrier Justice's Hammer in neutral space. The Council of Aligned Worlds had protested, demanded that Krelnax be tried in galactic courts under concordant laws. The human response had been polite, but firm. No Ambassador Elena Kovar, humanity's representative to the Council, addressed the assembled delegates in a session that was broadcast across the entire galactic network. The chamber was massive, designed to accommodate representatives from dozens of species. Insectoid Shalara delegates stood next to floating gas bag Whirlons. Reptilian Sorinth shared space with crystalline prismatics. All of them watched as the human ambassador took the central podium. Elena was in her 60s, her hair silver, her posture straight despite her age. She had been a military officer before becoming a diplomat, and it showed in the way she carried herself. Honored delegates, she began, her voice amplified through the chamber's translation systems. I understand many of you are concerned about humanity's actions regarding the Vathek raiders. Some of you have called our response excessive. Some have suggested we violated the concordant laws. I'm here to address those concerns directly. A holographic display materialized above her, showing the ambush from multiple angles. The recording had been compiled from the Merchant's Hope's sensors and the battle footage from the engagement. This is what happened when the Vathek marauders ambushed our cargo ship. They demanded surrender under threat of destruction. They fired on us when we didn't immediately comply. Under any definition, this was an act of piracy and attempted murder. She paused, letting the footage play. Watching it now, with clear sensors and proper analysis, the battle looked even more one-sided than Krelnax had experienced. The human ship moved with impossible grace, its weapons firing with precision that no cargo vessel should possess. Now, Elena continued, many of you ask why we didn't simply let them flee after they surrendered. Why we pursued them, why we called in additional forces. Let me show you something else. The display changed, showing the data Reeves had presented to Krelnax. 127 ships, 342 deaths, billions in stolen goods. This is the Vathek clan's record over the past 5 years. 5 years of raiding ships from your species, delegates. 5 years of attacks on Shalara mining vessels, Sorinth colony transports, Whirland trading ships. 5 years of violence and theft. She turned to face the assembled delegates directly. How many of these raids did the Council investigate? How many Vathek were brought to justice? How many times did anyone pursue these pirates with intent to stop them permanently? Silence filled the chamber. It was the kind of silence that answered the question more clearly than words ever could. The answer, Elena said quietly, is 0. Not once in 5 years did anyone pursue these pirates seriously. Not once did anyone hold them accountable in a meaningful way. The concordant laws, which humanity never agreed to, essentially give pirates permission to operate as long as they don't kill too many people at once, as long as they follow certain rules. She pulled up historical records from Earth, images of old sailing ships and ocean battles. Let me tell you about human history with piracy. For thousands of years, pirates plagued our oceans. They raided coastal towns, captured merchant vessels, took slaves, and grew rich on violence. And for a long time, we tried to manage them, to negotiate with them, to contain them within certain boundaries. It didn't work. Pirates just got bolder. The images shifted to show naval battles, prison ships, and eventually, the decline of piracy on Earth's oceans. We learned eventually that the only way to stop piracy is to make it unprofitable and suicidal. We hunted pirates to the ends of the earth. We gave them no safe harbors. We offered no quarter to those who took none themselves. And eventually piracy died out because no sane person would choose a profession that guaranteed capture or death. She turned back to the display showing the Vathek's crimes. That's the approach humanity brings to space. We won't tolerate piracy. We won't negotiate with raiders. We won't let them escape to prey on others. When you attack a human ship, you've made a choice that has consequences. Final consequences. One of the Shalara delegates, Ambassador Treshala, rose to speak. Her insectoid form clicked and chittered as her translator converted her words to galactic common. Ambassador Kovar, with respect, your methods are excessively violent. The Concordat laws exist to minimize loss of life. Your actions killed dozens of Vathek. Surely a more diplomatic approach could have... Ambassador Treshala, Elena interrupted gently. How many of your mining ships has the Vathek clan raided in the past 5 years? The Shalara delegate's antennae twitched with discomfort. 7 vessels. 43 miners killed or taken. But, and how many Vathek did your government hunt down in response? Silence. How many did anyone hunt down? Elena pressed. The Concordat laws that you defend so strongly allowed the Vathek to kill 43 of your people, and nothing happened to them. They paid no price. They faced no real consequences. So they kept raiding, kept killing, until they made the mistake of attacking a human ship. She walked to the center of the chamber, addressing all the delegates at once. Humanity offers an alternative to the Concordat laws. Any species that wishes to join our Mutual Defense Pact will receive protection. Our Q-ships will patrol trade routes. Our corvettes will hunt pirates who attack any ship under our protection. And we will bring those pirates to justice under laws that actually punish them. You're talking about executing them, another delegate said, a Sorinth named Krelath. I'm talking about justice, Elena corrected. Real justice, not the pretend justice of your Concordat laws that lets killers go free as long as they follow certain formalities. Chieftain Krelnax personally ordered the deaths of over 100 beings. In human courts, that's mass murder. The penalty is life imprisonment without possibility of release. That's barbaric, Krelath protested. You know what's barbaric? Elena's voice rose for the first time, passion breaking through her diplomatic calm. Allowing pirates to operate freely. Creating a system where victims have no recourse and criminals have no fear. Building a society where the strong prey on the weak and everyone just accepts it as the way things are. That's barbaric. She pulled up one final image. It showed a Whirlon transport ship, its hull breached, bodies floating in the void. The date stamp showed it had happened 3 months earlier. This was the Morning Wind, Elena said softly. A Whirlon family transport. 32 beings aboard, including 17 children. The Vathek raided them, took everything of value, and left them to die in the void. It took them 18 hours to suffocate. The chamber fell into absolute silence. Even the usually neutral prismatic delegates showed signs of distress, their crystalline forms dulling. The Vathek followed all the Concordat laws during that raid, Elena continued. They gave proper warning. They didn't use excessive force during boarding. They technically didn't kill anyone directly. They just took the life support systems as salvage and left. And under your laws, that wasn't even illegal because those life support systems were considered legitimate salvage. She turned off the display and stood in the silence. Humanity will not accept a galaxy where that's considered legal or acceptable. We will not follow laws that protect predators and abandon victims, and we will not apologize for destroying those who attack our ships. If that makes us barbaric in your eyes, so be it. But I noticed that piracy in human-patrolled space has dropped by 76% in the past month. I noticed that shipping companies from a dozen species are requesting human escorts. I noticed that your own insurance companies are lowering premiums for ships that travel in human-protected convoys. Ambassador Treshala spoke again, more quietly this time. What you're describing is vigilante justice. No, Elena said firmly. What we're describing is justice. Real justice. The kind that actually protects the innocent and punishes the guilty. Your Concordat laws protect predators. Human law protects victims. Choose which galaxy you want to live in. The session ended without any official resolution, but the message had been sent. 3 days later, the Shalara government officially requested human convoy escorts for their mining operations. Within a week, 4 other species followed. The Concordat laws remained technically in force, but increasingly, ships began flying under human protection instead. And in a human detention facility on a remote station, Chieftain Krelnax watched the news reports and understood that he hadn't just lost a battle. He had triggered something much larger. The galaxy's old rules were crumbling and humanity was writing new ones in fire and determination. The age of easy piracy was ending. The age of human justice was beginning. The footage spread across the galactic network like wildfire through dry grass. Every species with access to faster-than-light communication received the recording within days. The battle between the Merchant's Hope and the Vathek raiders was replayed endlessly on news feeds, analyzed by military experts, and discussed in frightened whispers in stations across known space. On the Vathek fortress moon of Karesh, deep in the unregulated zones where the Council's authority meant nothing, the Grand Conclave gathered in emergency session. The chamber was carved from stone, ancient and imposing, lit by burning braziers that cast dancing shadows across the assembled clan leaders. 47 chieftains had come representing the scattered Vathek warrior clans that preyed on the galaxy's trade routes. At the center of the gathering stood warlord Threshkara, sister to the captured Krelnax. She was larger than her brother had been, her forearms ending in claws that had taken hundreds of lives in personal combat. Scars covered her scaled hide, each one a trophy from a battle survived. Her eyes, compound and multifaceted like all Vathek, glowed with barely contained rage. "You have all seen what the humans did to my brother's fleet." Threshkara's voice carried through the chamber, deep and resonant. 6 ships, experienced warriors, destroyed or captured in minutes by a single cargo vessel and 3 escort ships. The assembled chieftains remained silent. They had indeed seen the footage. Many had watched it multiple times, studying the human tactics, the impossible weapons, the cold efficiency of the attack. It had shaken them in ways that few things could. "The humans claim this is justice," Threshkara continued, her voice dripping with contempt. "They say they will hunt down any who raid their ships. They say they will bring us to trial, imprison us, treat us like common criminals rather than warriors following the ancient ways." She turned slowly, her gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. "I say this is an insult that cannot stand. My brother sits in a human prison, caged like an animal. Our warriors float dead in the void, and the humans parade their victory across the galaxy like hunters displaying trophy kills. This demands vengeance. This demands blood." Chieftain Vrakesh, an old warrior whose clan controlled a profitable raiding zone near Sorinth space, rose to speak. "With respect, warlord, perhaps we should consider avoiding human vessels. There are many other species to prey upon. Why provoke an enemy that has proven so dangerous?" The suggestion brought murmurs of agreement from several other chieftains, but Threshkara's roar silenced them. "Avoid them? Flee from one species while 100 others exist to plunder? You suggest we show fear?" Her claws flexed, scraping against stone. "The moment we show fear, we show weakness. And weak predators do not survive. Our strength, our entire existence, is built on the foundation that we take what we want and others flee before us. If we allow the humans to challenge that, if we let them kill our warriors without response, every species in the galaxy will think they can stand against us." Another chieftain, Skelmora, spoke up. She led a smaller clan but was respected for her cunning. "The humans have proven they can fight. Their weapons are superior. Their tactics are refined. Their ships are not what they appear. Warlord wisdom is knowing when to fight and when to retreat. We have raided for 3 centuries because we choose our battles carefully." Threshkara approached Skelmora slowly, deliberately. "You counsel retreat. You counsel surrender. Tell me, chieftain, what do you think will happen to our way of life if we simply accept what the humans have done? If we let them imprison our warriors, destroy our ships, and spread their justice across the galaxy?" Skelmora held her ground, meeting Threshkara's gaze. "I think we will survive by adapting, by finding new hunting grounds, by becoming scavengers instead of hunters," Threshkara interrupted. "By letting fear dictate our actions. No, I will not accept this. The humans have taken my brother. They have killed our warriors, and they will learn that the Vathek do not forgive such insults." She turned back to address the full assembly. "I am raising a war fleet, 40 ships, the largest raiding force we have assembled in 50 years. Our target will be a human colony world called New Harmony. 2 million humans, lightly defended according to our scouts, far enough from their main fleet concentrations that they cannot respond quickly." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some chieftains looked eager, scenting opportunity for plunder and glory. Others looked troubled, seeing only danger in provoking the humans further. "We will strike hard and fast," Threshkara continued, her voice rising above the chatter. "We will take what we want. We will show the galaxy that attacking Vathek warriors has consequences, and we will demonstrate that no species, not even these dangerous humans, can stand against the full might of our united clans." Vrakesh rose again, his old voice carrying weight. "And if it's a trap, The humans use their cargo ship as bait. What makes you think this colony isn't also bait? Threshkara's laugh was harsh and grating. Our scouts have watched New Harmony for weeks. The defenses are minimal. 2 patrol ships. 1 defense platform. The humans are spread thin across their territory, trying to protect too many places at once. It's a target of opportunity. Or a trap, Vrakesh insisted. Then we spring it, Threshkara snarled. And we show the humans that even their traps can be broken by overwhelming force. 40 ships, Chieftain? Even with their superior weapons, they cannot stand against 40 ships, the vote was called. 28 chieftains pledged ships to the war fleet. 19 abstained, choosing to watch and wait. None voted directly against it, not wanting to be seen as cowards. As the conclave dispersed, old Vrakesh approached Skelmora in one of the chamber's side passages. "This is madness," he said quietly. Threshkara lets her rage cloud her judgment. The humans destroyed 6 ships with 4 vessels. What makes her think 40 Vathek raiders can succeed where 6 failed? Skelmora's expression was troubled. She may be right about one thing. If we show fear, if we retreat without responding, our reputation crumbles. The Vathek have ruled these territories through strength and fear. Take away the fear and we're just another minor species scrambling for scraps. Better to scramble for scraps than to fly directly into a human trap. Is it? Skelmora turned to look at him. I'm not sure anymore. Perhaps we're already dead and just don't know it yet. The galaxy is changing, old friend. The humans are changing it. The question isn't whether we can stop that change. The question is whether we can survive it. The war fleet assembled over the next 2 weeks. 40 ships of various sizes, from small raiders to massive clan battleships. Threshkara commanded from her flagship, the Blood Reaver, a ship that had participated in hundreds of successful raids over its 30-year service life. The hull was decorated with kill markers, each symbol representing a ship taken or destroyed. The fleet's destination was kept secret until the last moment. Only Threshkara and her most trusted officers knew the target coordinates. On the day of departure, she broadcast to all ships simultaneously. Warriors of the Vathek, today we reclaim our honor. Today we show the humans and all the galaxy that we are not prey. We are predators. We are death itself riding the void. Follow me to glory. The fleet jumped to hyperspace in a coordinated formation. The journey to New Harmony would take 3 days. During that time, Threshkara refined her battle plans, studied the intelligence reports, and prepared for what she expected to be a glorious victory. On the 3rd day, the fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the New Harmony system. The colony world hung before them, a blue and green jewel orbited by a single small moon. Scans confirmed the intelligence. 2 human patrol ships, light corvettes by their configuration, 1 defense platform in geosynchronous orbit above the main settlement. Minimal defenses for a world of 2 million inhabitants. It's perfect, Threshkara's second-in-command, a warrior named Kresh, said with satisfaction. We can take this world easily. Threshkara felt the same eagerness, but something nagged at her instincts. Old Vrakesh's words echoed in her mind. What if it's a trap? She studied the sensor readings more carefully. The patrol ships weren't running. They held position near the defense platform as if waiting. The colony's shields were active but not at full power. No evacuation was underway. The civilian vessels in orbit continued their normal routines as if 40 warships hadn't just appeared at the system's edge. They're not afraid, Kresh observed, puzzlement in his voice. Why aren't they afraid? Threshkara's instincts screamed warnings, but pride and rage overrode them. She had come too far, gathered too many ships, made too many promises of glory. Retreat now would be unthinkable. Open a channel to the colony, she ordered. Let them hear what happens to those who imprison Vathek warriors. The communications officer established the link. On the view screen, a human appeared. Not military, but a civilian administrator. A woman in her 40s with tired eyes and brown hair pulled back in a simple style. Her nameplate identified her as Governor Sarah Chen. This is New Harmony, Governor Chen said calmly. You're in violation of human territorial space. State your business or leave immediately. Threshkara leaned forward, her massive form filling the view screen from the human's perspective. I am Warlord Threshkara of the Vathek clans. You hold my brother, Chieftain Krelnax, in your prisons. You killed our warriors. You insulted our honor. Today you pay for those crimes. Evacuate your world or watch it burn. You have 1 hour. Governor Chen's expression didn't change. No fear, no panic. Just a slight nod. as if confirming something she had expected. I see. So you're choosing to attack a civilian colony world to protest your brother's legal imprisonment for piracy and murder. That's certainly a choice. Your sarcasm will die with you, human, Threshkara snarled. 1 hour. I don't think we'll need an hour, Governor Chen said. Then she smiled, and it was the same smile Captain Reeves had worn in the moments before destroying Krelnax's fleet. Admiral, they're all yours. The transmission cut off, and Threshkara's blood ran cold. Admiral? What Admiral? Sensor sweep, she roared. Full spectrum. Fine, the sensors lit up like festival fireworks, ships, dozens of them, emerging from behind the colony's moon, dropping stealth fields that had hidden them completely. Not small patrol ships, capital vessels, a human carrier, battleships, cruisers, and more of those fast attack corvettes that had destroyed her brother's fleet. The trap snapped shut around them. All ships battle formation. Threshkara screamed, but her voice carried panic now instead of confidence. A new voice came over the communications channel. Male, calm, carrying absolute authority. This is Admiral James, Chen of the 5th Expeditionary Fleet. Vathek vessels, you are surrounded and outgunned. Power down your weapons and engines immediately. Surrender and you will be treated according to human law. Resist and you will be destroyed. This is your only warning. Threshkara stared at the tactical display showing 40 human warships arranged in a perfect encirclement. She looked at her own 40 ships, raiders, and pirates suddenly facing a professional military force. And she understood that Vrakesh had been right. This had been a trap from the beginning. The humans had known they would come, had wanted them to come, had prepared this ambush with the same cold efficiency they had shown in every encounter. But Threshkara was not her brother. She would not surrender to these soft prey animals who thought they could dictate terms to Vathek warriors. All ships, she broadcast to her fleet, prepare for combat. We are Vathek. We do not yield. We do not surrender. Today we show these humans what it means to face true warriors. She cut the transmission and looked at her bridge crew. Some showed determination. Others showed fear. All looked to her for leadership. Full speed ahead, Threshkara ordered. Target the human carrier. If we can destroy it, the smaller ships will fall apart. All ships, follow the Blood Reaver. We break through their lines or we die trying. As her ship accelerated toward the human fleet, Threshkara felt something she had never experienced in her long career of raiding and violence. She felt like prey. Admiral James Chen watched the Vathek formation accelerate toward his fleet, with the detached interest of a man who had seen this pattern play out countless times before. The flagship carrier Infinite Dawn hummed with activity around him as his bridge crew executed their roles with practiced efficiency. He was a veteran of the First Contact Wars, the brutal conflicts that had erupted when humanity first reached the stars and discovered that the galaxy was not as peaceful as the hopeful explorers had imagined. Tactical. Status, Chen ordered, his voice calm despite commanding 40 warships against an equal number of enemy vessels. Commander Sarah Okafor, his tactical officer, responded without looking up from her displays. Enemy fleet converging on our position. Lead ship is the Blood Reaver flagship class. They're moving in a spearhead formation, probably trying to punch through our lines and hit the carrier directly. Predictable, Chen murmured. It was the same tactic aggressive species always tried. Kill the command ship, scatter the fleet. It might have worked against a less disciplined force. Helm, bring us about. Put the battleships Titan's Fist and Iron Resolution between us and their spearhead. All corvettes prepare for flanking maneuvers. Fighter wings. Launch when ready. The orders flowed through the fleet in microseconds, translated into action with the precision that came from endless drills and real combat experience. The human formation shifted, adjusting to the enemy's approach like a living thing. Sir, Okafor reported, they're not even trying to talk anymore. Just a straight combat run. They made their choice when they came here, Chen replied. Communications, open a fleet-wide channel. Let's give them one more chance to save their lives. The channel activated, broadcasting to every Vathek ship simultaneously. Vathek fleet, this is your final warning. You are attacking a civilian colony world. You are outnumbered and outgunned. We have you completely surrounded. Power down now and you will live to stand trial. Continue this attack and you will die. There is no third option. For a moment, Chen hoped they would see reason. 40 ships against 40 might seem like even odds, but these were professional military vessels against pirates. It wouldn't be a battle. It would be an execution. The response came from Threshkara herself, her image appearing on the main view screen. Up close, Chen could see the rage burning in her alien eyes, the way her claws flexed with barely contained violence. "We are Vathek," she roared. "We do not yield to prey. We do not surrender to those who imprison our kin. Today you learned that some species cannot be caged." The transmission cut off. The Vathek fleet continued its charge. Chen felt a brief moment of regret. Not for what he was about to do, but for the waste of it all. These warriors could have chosen differently, could have turned away, found another path. Instead, they chose violence and death. "All ships," Chen ordered, his voice carrying across the fleet. "Weapons free. Execute pattern Delta 7. Make every shot count and minimize collateral damage. If they break off, let them run. But if they press the attack, end it quickly." The human fleet moved into action. Pattern Delta 7 was a three-dimensional engagement strategy. Developed during the First Contact Wars, it treated space combat not as a two-dimensional naval battle, but as true three-dimensional warfare. Ships moved above, below, and around the enemy formation in coordinated attacks that came from every vector simultaneously. The corvettes struck first, their speed and maneuverability letting them dart in ahead of the main Vathek formation. They fired railgun barrages that tore through pirate shields designed for energy weapons. 3 Vathek raiders took critical damage in the first pass, their hulls breaching, atmosphere venting into space. The Vathek returned fire, but their weapons were designed for raiding, not military engagements. Plasma bolts and particle beams splashed against human shields that had been engineered specifically to counter such attacks. Some damage got through, scorching armor, destroying point defense turrets, but nothing critical. Not yet. Enemy formation fragmenting, Okafor reported. They're trying to scatter and attack from multiple angles. "Let them," Chen said. "It plays into our hands. Battleships target the largest vessels. Cruisers engage at will. Corvettes continue harassment patterns." The battleship Titan's Fist opened fire with its main guns. The weapons were massive magnetic accelerators that used the same principle as a railgun, but on a scale that made even other humans nervous. Each shot was a solid slug of depleted uranium the size of a small vehicle, accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. The first shot hit a Vathek battleship called the Void Terror amidships. The slug punched through shields, through armor, through the ship's center mass, and out the other side. The Void Terror broke apart, its structural integrity compromised beyond any hope of recovery. Secondary explosions rippled through its hull as reactors failed and ammunition cooked off. "Good shot," Chen acknowledged. "Next target." The battle spread across the system like a wildfire. The Vathek fought with desperate courage, but courage alone couldn't overcome the technological and tactical advantages the human fleet possessed. Every engagement followed the same pattern. Human ships maneuvered with precision, concentrating fire, supporting each other. Vathek ships fought individually, each captain trying to claim personal glory. No real coordination between vessels. Fighter wings launched from the carrier Infinite Dawn added another layer of complexity to the battle. The small craft swarmed around the larger Vathek vessels like angry insects, targeting engines, weapon systems, sensor arrays. Individual fighters were vulnerable, but in coordinated squadrons they were devastating. Threshkara watched her fleet die around her. The Blood Reaver had taken damage from multiple directions, its shields failing, hull breaching in 3 sections. Her bridge crew worked frantically to keep the ship operational, but she could see the desperation in their movements. "Status," she roared over the sounds of alarms and damage reports. 17 ships destroyed, Kresh reported, his voice shaking. 12 more crippled and drifting. The remaining ships are scattered. We've lost all formation cohesion. 17 ships, nearly half her fleet, in less than 20 minutes. Contact Chieftain Vrelax, Threshkara ordered. Tell him to form up on our position. We concentrate our forces and Chieftain Vrelax is dead, Kresh interrupted. His ship was destroyed 7 minutes ago. Threshkara felt something crack inside her. Not fear exactly. Recognition. The understanding that she had led her warriors not to glory but to annihilation. All remaining ships, she broadcast, fall back to Rally Point Beta. We regroup and a new series of explosions rocked the Blood Reaver. The tactical display showed 3 human corvettes had targeted her flagship specifically, recognizing it as the command vessel. They fired with surgical precision, not trying to destroy but to disable. Engines offline. Weapons offline. Life support at 40% and falling. On the view screen, Admiral Chen's face appeared again. Warlord Threshkara, your fleet is broken. Your ships are dying. You've lost. Surrender now and I will allow medical aid to reach your wounded. Continue fighting and I will destroy every single vessel in your fleet. Choose. Threshkara looked around her bridge. Half her crew were dead or injured. The survivors looked at her with eyes that had lost their warrior's fire and found only terror. She thought of her brother Krelnak sitting in a human prison. She thought of the 300 years of Vathek dominance in these territories. She thought of the old ways, the warrior codes, the pride of her species, and she realized that none of it mattered anymore. The galaxy had changed. The humans had changed it, and the Vathek could either adapt or die. All ships, she said quietly. Cease fire. Power down weapons. Prepare to be boarded. The words tasted like poison, but she forced them out anyway. The boarding parties came within the hour. Human Marines in powered armor, moving through Vathek ships with the same efficiency they had shown in combat. Medical teams followed immediately behind, treating wounded from both sides with equal care. It was that last part that confused Threshkara the most. Why heal warriors you had just defeated? Admiral Chen came aboard the Blood Reaver personally, escorted by a squad of Marines but walking without fear into a ship full of enemy warriors. He found Threshkara on her bridge, still bound by the containment foam that had replaced chains in human prisoner handling. You fought well, Chen said, his tone respectful rather than mocking. Your warriors showed courage. If you had been better coordinated, if you had better intelligence, this might have gone differently. Don't patronize me, Threshkara snarled. You ambushed us, used our rage against us, set a trap and we walked into it like fools. Yes, Chen agreed simply. We did, because that's how you win wars. Not through honor or glory or individual courage, through intelligence, preparation, and overwhelming force applied at decisive moments. He pulled up a holographic display showing the battle from multiple angles. You lost this battle before it started. We've been monitoring Vathek communications for months. We knew about your conclave. We knew you would want revenge for your brother. We evacuated New Harmony's civilian population 3 days ago and replaced them with military personnel. The governor you spoke to is actually a Marine Corps colonel. This entire operation was designed to draw out your war fleet and destroy it in a single engagement. Threshkara listened with growing horror. Every detail had been planned, every move anticipated. The humans hadn't just defeated the Vathek. They had manipulated them, predicted them, controlled them like pieces on a game board. Why? She asked finally. Why go to such effort? You could have just defended your territories. Instead, you deliberately provoked us into attacking so you could destroy us. Why? Chen's expression hardened. Because of the 127 ships your clans have raided. Because of the 342 beings you've killed. Because of the thousands you've traumatized and the families you've destroyed. And most importantly, because if we didn't make an example of you, every other pirate clan in the galaxy would think they could keep doing what you've been doing. He leaned closer to the containment field, holding her. You asked why we go to such effort. It's because humanity learned a long time ago that the only way to stop predators is to become the bigger predator. You wanted to teach us a lesson about Vathek strength. Instead, you've taught the entire galaxy a lesson about human determination. Threshkara said nothing. There was nothing to say. You and your surviving warriors will stand trial, Chen continued. You'll face justice for every raid, every death, every act of piracy your clans have committed. Some of you will spend the rest of your lives in prison. Some of you may earn reduced sentences through cooperation and restitution, but none of you will ever raid another ship. The era of Vathek piracy is over. He turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I am sorry it came to this. I don't take pleasure in killing, but I will do whatever is necessary to protect human lives and the lives of those under our protection. You chose to threaten those lives. This is the consequence. As Admiral Chen left the Blood Reaver, the cleanup operations continued across the system. 38 Vathek ships destroyed or captured. 2 escaped into hyperspace before the human fleet could intercept them. Those 2 would carry the message back to the Vathek territories, would tell other clans what happened when you attacked humanity. The 5th Expeditionary Fleet began collecting the survivors, cataloging the captured ships, and preparing for the long journey back to human space where trials would be held. Medical teams worked around the clock treating wounded Vathek, following human military doctrine that required humane treatment of prisoners, even when those prisoners had shown no such mercy to their own victims. And across the galaxy, on countless worlds and stations, beings of 100 different species watched the recordings of the battle, saw what happened when pirates tried to challenge human authority, saw the cold efficiency of human military power, saw the future taking shape before their eyes. The galaxy was changing, the old ways were dying, and humanity was writing the new rules in fire and determination. 6 months had passed since the Battle of New Harmony, as the engagement had come to be known across the galaxy. The recordings had been watched billions of times on the galactic network. Military academies from a dozen species analyzed the human tactics. Politicians debated the implications. And in the dark spaces between stars where pirates had once operated with impunity, a new reality had taken hold. The Vathek fortress moon of Karesh was quiet now. The Grand Conclave had met one final time after the 2 surviving ships returned with news of the fleet's destruction. Old Chieftain Vrakesh had spoken for 3 hours, explaining what everyone already knew but few wanted to admit. The age of Vathek dominance was over. The clans could adapt or die, but they could no longer operate as they had for 3 centuries. The vote had been unanimous. The Vathek would avoid all human-protected space. They would cease raiding operations in any system where human patrol ships might respond. They would, in effect, surrender their ancestral territories and retreat to the fringes where human influence had not yet reached. Some younger warriors had protested, calling it cowardice. Vrakesh had silenced them with a simple question. How many ships are you willing to lose to prove your courage? None had answered. The Battle of New Harmony had cost the Vathek not just 40 ships but something more precious. Their reputation, their aura of invincibility, the fear that had kept other species from resisting. That fear had been replaced by a different kind of fear. Not fear of the Vathek, but fear of what would happen if you attacked a human ship. The impact rippled across known space. In the 3 months following New Harmony, piracy rates dropped by 64% in human-patrolled sectors. In areas where human convoy escorts operated, it dropped by 91%. Insurance companies reclassified risk zones. Shipping companies rerouted their fleets to travel through human space even if it meant longer journeys. The economic implications were staggering. The Council of Aligned Worlds convened again, this time not to debate human methods but to negotiate formal agreements. Ambassador Elena Kovar sat at the central podium, now flanked by representatives from 11 species who had signed mutual defense pacts with humanity. The chamber that had once questioned human aggression now sought human protection. The facts speak for themselves, Elena addressed the assembly. In the 6 months since humanity began active anti-piracy operations, over 4,000 civilian lives have been saved. 270 ships that would have been raided have traveled safely. 37 different pirate groups have either disbanded or retreated to unpatrolled space. And most significantly, not a single ship under human protection has been successfully raided. Ambassador Treshala of the Shalara, who had once criticized human methods as excessive, rose to speak. Her tone was different now, respectful. Ambassador Kovar, the Shalara Collective wishes to formally acknowledge that human intervention has saved countless lives, including many of my own species. Our mining convoys that once suffered regular attacks have not been touched in 4 months. We are grateful. Other delegates rose in turn, offering similar testimonials. The Sorinth, the Whirlans, the Krelith. Even the usually isolationist prismatics acknowledged the positive impact of human patrols, but not everyone was pleased with the new order. Representative Kralveth of the Merchants Coalition, a trade organization representing hundreds of companies across multiple species, stood to voice concerns that others shared but were reluctant to express. Ambassador Kovar, while we appreciate the increased security, there are questions about the methods employed. Human Q-ships operate under false transponders. Human forces use deception and ambush tactics. These are the same methods we condemn when pirates use them. How is this different? Elena had expected this question, had prepared for it. The difference, Representative, is purpose and law. Pirates use deception to prey on the innocent. We use it to catch predators. Pirates operate outside all legal frameworks. We operate under clear rules of engagement and military law. Pirates answer to no one. We answer to civilian oversight, international courts, and the fundamental principles of justice. She pulled up statistics showing before and after comparisons. You ask how it's different? Here's how. Before human intervention, a civilian cargo ship in the Outer Veil had a 37% chance of being raided during a standard 6-month route. That's more than 1 in 3 ships attacked. Today, that number is down to 4%. And of that 4%, 90% of attacks are stopped before any casualties occur because human response times are measured in minutes, not hours or days. Kralveth persisted. But at what cost? You've killed thousands of pirates, imprisoned tens of thousands. Some say human prisons are too harsh, that your sentences are too severe. We've killed those who chose violence over surrender, Elena corrected. Every engagement begins with an offer to stand down peacefully. Those who accept go to trial and face justice. Those who refuse face the consequences of their choice. As for our prisons and sentences being harsh, I would ask you to compare them to the fate of those your concordat laws failed to protect. She displayed an image that had become infamous across the galaxy. The Whirlwind family transport, the Morning Wind, drifting in space with all hands dead. 17 children died on that ship. Under your concordat laws, their killers faced no consequences because they followed the technical rules of engagement. Under human law, their killers are serving life sentences. You tell me which system is harsher. The chamber fell silent. The image of the Morning Wind had become a symbol of everything wrong with the old system. A visual reminder of why change had been necessary. The debates continued for another week, but the outcome was never in doubt. By the end of the session, 6 more species had signed mutual defense agreements with humanity. 3 others requested formal military training from human advisors. The galaxy was reorganizing itself around a new paradigm, and humanity stood at its center. But not everyone accepted the new order peacefully. Deep in the Kurth Nebula, far from council oversight or human patrols, the remnants of various pirate factions gathered for their own conclave. Over 200 ships representing a dozen different raiding groups. They came from different species, different motivations, but united by a common concern. Humanity was destroying their way of life. The gathering was organized by a Sorinth pirate lord named Skareth, whose clan had operated in the nebula's dense gas clouds for decades. He was old, scarred, and cunning enough to have survived long before humans arrived on the galactic stage. They've driven us from our territories, Skareth hissed to the assembled captains. They've destroyed our fleets. They've imprisoned our warriors, and now they spread across the galaxy like a plague, teaching other species to resist us, to fight back. If we don't act soon, there will be nowhere left to operate. A Krelith pirate named Shraktor spoke up, her feathers ruffling with agitation. What do you propose? We've all seen what happened to the Vathek. 40 ships destroyed. If the humans could do that to Vathek warriors, what chance do we have? The Vathek were arrogant, Skareth replied. They attacked openly, challenged the humans directly. We must be smarter. We strike where they are weak. We avoid their traps. We adapt our methods. They have Q ships everywhere, another captain protested. Every cargo vessel could be a warship. How do we tell the difference? We target their worlds instead, Skareth said, revealing his true plan. Not their colonies. Those are defended, but they're relay stations. They're refueling depots. They're scientific outposts. Small facilities with minimal defenses but critical infrastructure. We hit those, disrupt their operations, force them to spread their forces thinner. Make it too expensive for them to maintain their patrols. The plan was debated for hours. Some thought it brilliant, others thought it suicidal. But eventually a consensus emerged. They would try Skareth's strategy. Launch coordinated raids against multiple human facilities simultaneously. Show that humanity couldn't protect everything everywhere. The raids launched 3 weeks later. 12 different targets across 6 systems. Small human outposts, research stations, and communication relays. The pirates hit fast and hard, using tactics designed to avoid the long engagements where human military advantages would matter. Get in, cause damage. Get out before response forces arrived. 7 of the raids initially succeeded. Facilities were damaged or destroyed. Some human personnel were killed or captured. The pirates retreated into the dense nebula before human patrols could respond. Believing they had proven that humanity wasn't invincible after all, they were wrong. What the pirates didn't know was that humanity had been waiting for exactly this kind of response. Had predicted it, planned for it. Every outpost had been equipped with advanced sensors that tracked not just the attack, but the escape vectors. Every facility had transmitted detailed data about ship signatures, weapons configurations, and tactical patterns before being destroyed. Admiral Chen, now in command of the Anti-Piracy Task Force, reviewed the data from his flagship. He had known the pirates would adapt eventually. Any intelligent predator did, but adaptation worked both ways. Analysis, he ordered his intelligence officer, Commander Marcus Gray. "We have clean tracking data on all 12 raiding groups, sir," Gray reported. The attacks were coordinated but not centralized. Each group returned to different locations in the Kurth Nebula. However, communications intercepts suggest they all report to a central leadership. Someone organized this. "Find them," Chen said simply, "and prepare Fleet Group 7 for Nebula operations." Fleet Group 7 was a specialized formation designed for combat in areas where sensors were limited and visibility was poor. Smaller ships equipped with advanced detection systems, supported by carriers loaded with fighter craft. They entered the Kurth Nebula 3 days after the raids, moving slowly and methodically through the dense gas clouds. The pirates never saw them coming. The first the raiders knew of the human presence was when their hideouts started exploding. Human forces didn't announce themselves, didn't issue warnings or demands for surrender. They had tracked every pirate who participated in the raids back to their bases and hit them all, simultaneously in a coordinated strike that made the Battle of New Harmony look merciful by comparison. Scarith watched his command center burn around him as human marines breached the station's defenses. He had been so clever, so careful, and yet the humans had found him anyway, had tracked him through a nebula that should have hidden any signatures. The Marine who took him into custody was professional, but not gentle. "Scarith, you're under arrest for piracy, murder, and terrorism against civilian targets. This time no trials, no delays. You hit our civilians, so we're classifying you as enemy combatants, not pirates. That's a military tribunal and a rope." The words were delivered without emotion, just cold fact. Scarith understood then what many others were learning across the galaxy. You could raid human ships and face prison, but if you attacked human civilians, if you crossed that line, the response was swift and final. The Kurth Nebula operation lasted 2 weeks. When it was done, 37 pirate bases had been destroyed. Over 400 pirates captured or killed. The nebula that had been a haven for raiders for decades was now empty, except for the wreckage. The message spread faster than light-speed communications could carry it. Don't attack human ships, don't raid human facilities, and absolutely don't target human civilians. The consequences weren't trials or imprisonment. They were annihilation. Captain Marcus Reeves stood on the bridge of the Merchant's Hope, watching the stars stream past through the viewport. His ship had just completed another routine cargo run, traveling through sectors that 6 months ago would have been considered suicidally dangerous. They hadn't even been bothered by pirates. Word had gotten around about what his ship really was, about what happened to those who attacked it. A chime announced a visitor to the bridge. Reeves turned to see a young ensign, recently graduated from the academy. The ensign was Krelith, one of the avian species that had signed a mutual defense pact with humanity. His name was Shrikta, and he had requested assignment to a human vessel specifically to learn from their methods. "Captain," Shrikta said, his translator converting his chirping speech to clear English. "I've been reviewing the tactical logs from your engagement with the Vathek raiders, the one that started all this. 6 months ago feels like a lifetime now," Reeves said, gesturing for the young ensign to join him at the viewport. "What about it?" "I don't understand why you fought so hard," Shrikta admitted. "They offered to let you go if you surrendered your cargo. Your ship and crew would have survived. Standard practice under concordant laws. Instead, you chose to fight, to call in support, to turn it into a major incident. Why risk so much over cargo that could be replaced?" Reeves was quiet for a moment, considering how to explain something that was instinctive to humans but foreign to so many other species. "Let me tell you about Earth," he finally said. "My homeworld. For most of our history, we had no unified government. Hundreds of nations, thousands of tribes, all competing for resources. And in that chaos, predators thrived. Pirates, raiders, bandits. They took what they wanted from those too weak to resist." He turned to face the young ensign directly. "We learned some hard lessons from that history. The most important one is this. If you let predators take from you without fighting back, you teach them that you're easy prey. and easy prey gets targeted again and again until there's nothing left. But the Concordat laws created a system, Shrikta protested. Rules that everyone followed. It minimized violence. It minimized resistance, Reeves corrected. There's a difference. The Concordat laws told victims to just accept being victimized as long as the predators followed certain guidelines. It was a system designed by and for predators, not for the prey. He pulled up a display showing shipping routes before and after human intervention. Look at this. Before humans started active patrols, there were entire regions of space that civilian ships just avoided. Dead zones where piracy was so common that trade simply stopped. Colonies that couldn't get supplies. Medical shipments that never arrived. All because everyone accepted that piracy was just part of doing business in space. The display shifted to show current routes. Now look, trade has increased by 40% in the past 6 months. New routes are opening. Species that haven't had regular contact in decades are trading again. And why? Because we refuse to accept the old rules. Because we fought back hard enough that predators learned to leave us alone. Shrikta studied the displays thoughtfully. But at what cost? Thousands dead. Entire pirate organizations destroyed. Some say humanity's response is disproportionate. Disproportionate to what? Reeves asked. To 300 years of Vathek raids? To the thousands they killed and enslaved? To the families destroyed by pirates who faced no real consequences? He shook his head. Our response isn't disproportionate. It's final. We're not trying to manage piracy or contain it. We're trying to eliminate it. And the only way to do that is to make it so dangerous that no rational being would choose it as a profession. And if they're not rational, Shrikta challenged. If they attack anyway? Reeves's expression hardened and his voice dropped to something cold and certain. Then the galaxy will be reminded why humans don't speak in fear. We speak in fire. We speak in action and consequences. We speak in the language that predators understand best. Overwhelming, decisive force applied without hesitation or mercy to those who threaten the innocent. He turned back to the viewport, watching the stars. You asked why we fight so hard. It's because out here there are only 2 kinds of species. Predators and prey. Humanity decided a long time ago which one we'd be, and we decided that we'd rather be the species that other predators fear than the species that lives in fear of them. Shrikta was quiet for a long moment, processing this. Finally, he asked the question that had brought him to this assignment in the first place. And if someone tests you again, if another species, another pirate group decides to challenge humanity despite everything that's happened? Captain Marcus Reeves smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Just certainty. Just the absolute conviction of someone who knew exactly how that scenario would play out. Then we'll teach the lesson again, and again, and as many times as necessary until every species in this galaxy understands that attacking human ships, attacking our allies, attacking the innocent under our protection, is not a calculated risk. It's suicide. The words hung in the air between them. Shrikta felt something shift in his understanding. This wasn't about revenge or conquest or even justice in the abstract sense. This was about creating a galaxy where civilian ships could travel without fear, where families didn't have to wonder if their loved ones would return from a simple cargo run, where the strong protected the weak instead of preying on them. I think I'm beginning to understand, Shrikta said quietly. Good, Reeves replied, because that understanding is what's changing the galaxy. Not our weapons, not our tactics. The understanding that some species won't accept the way things have always been, that some species will fight back will make it too costly, too dangerous for predators to operate. An alert chimed on the bridge. The communications officer, Lieutenant Harris, looked up from her station. Captain, we're receiving a distress signal. Civilian transport Shalara registry. They're under attack by unknown raiders. Distance 43 light minutes. Reeves was already moving toward his command chair. Battle stations. Helm plot intercept course, maximum acceleration. Communications inform the attackers that they have exactly 1 chance to break off and run before we arrive. Sir, Harris said, the raiders are already fleeing. The distress signal indicates they broke off the moment they detected our transponder. Reeves allowed himself a small, satisfied smile, then adjust course to assist the Shalara vessel. Make sure they're okay and escort them to their destination. As the merchant's Hope changed course, Shrikta watched the efficiency with which the crew moved. No panic, no uncertainty. Just professionals doing a job they had practiced countless times. This was the new normal. This was the galaxy humanity was building. "Captain," Shrikta asked, "the raiders fled without fighting, without even seeing your ship, just from your transponder code. Doesn't that prove the system is working? That the message has been received?" "It proves the message is spreading," Reeves corrected. "But working? We'll know it's truly working when we can decommission the Q ships, when we can send actual cargo vessels through these routes without weapons or escorts because there simply aren't any pirates left to worry about. That's the goal. Not to be the biggest predator, but to create a galaxy where predators can't survive at all. Across the galaxy, in the council chambers on the neutral world of Nexus Prime, the delegates were finalizing what would become known as the new Concordat. It was a complete replacement of the old Concordat laws, written with human input and backed by human enforcement capability. The new laws were simple and absolute. Piracy was treated as the universal crime it was. No exceptions, no loopholes, no technical compliance that allowed raiders to operate legally. Any ship that attacked another vessel unprovoked would face immediate military response from any signatory force in range. Captured pirates would stand trial under strict guidelines that actually punished the guilty. More importantly, the new Concordat established a mutual defense network. Any species could join, regardless of size or military capability, in exchange for contributing what they could, whether ships, intelligence, or simply allowing patrol bases in their territory. They received the full protection of every other signatory. It was collective security on a galactic scale. Ambassador Elena Kovar watched the vote with satisfaction. 47 species voted in favor. 3 abstained. None voted against. The old system that had protected predators for centuries was officially dead, replaced by something that actually served the interests of peaceful civilizations. After the vote, Ambassador Treshala approached Elena in the corridor outside the chamber. "Ambassador Kovar, I want to apologize," the Shalara delegate said, her translator converting her clicks and whistles. "When you first proposed these methods, I called them barbaric. I was wrong. My own people have suffered less in the past 6 months than in the past 6 years. Our miners come home to their families. Our transports arrive safely. Because of what humanity has done," Elena smiled warmly. "No apology necessary, Ambassador. Your concerns were valid. What we proposed was a dramatic change from the way things had been done for centuries. It's natural to question that. The important thing is that we all work together to create something better." "Still," Treshala continued, "I wonder sometimes if the cost was worth it. So many died. Even pirates are living beings with families, with histories." "They were," Elena agreed, "and they chose, knowing the risks, to attack others. Every single pirate who died in our operations was given a chance to surrender. Some took it and are alive today, serving their sentences but alive. Others chose violence. We didn't make that choice for them." She gestured toward the chamber where the vote had just concluded. "As for the cost, consider the alternative. How many more ships would have been raided if we'd done nothing? How many more families destroyed? How many more children left orphaned? The cost of action was high, but the cost of inaction would have been higher." Trishala's antennae twitched in what Elena had learned was the Shalara equivalent of a nod. "Perhaps you're right. My people have a saying. The hive that tolerates parasites will eventually be consumed by them. We tolerated pirates for too long. You showed us a better way." In the human sector on the military station Sentinel's Watch, Admiral James Chen received the news of the council vote with quiet satisfaction. His aide, Commander Okafor, stood beside him reviewing the final casualty reports from the anti-piracy operations. "Final tally, sir," Okafor reported. "Over the 6-month campaign, 43 human military personnel killed in action, 162 wounded, 8 civilian casualties from the raids on our outposts. Against that, approximately 3,000 pirates killed, 12,000 captured, and piracy rates down 87% across all monitored sectors." Chen studied the numbers. Every casualty hurt. Every name on that list represented a person with family, friends, a life cut short. But he also knew that the alternative would have been worse. "What about the pirates who surrendered?" he asked. "How are they being treated?" "According to regulations, sir. Trials are proceeding. Most are receiving sentences between 10 and 30 years, depending on their specific crimes. The ones who cooperated and provided intelligence about other pirate operations are getting reduced sentences. A few have even requested to work off their sentences through community service." Community service? Chen raised an eyebrow. Yes, sir. Some of the former pirates have extensive knowledge of the regions where they operated. They're helping us map dangerous areas, identify remaining pirate havens, warn civilian ships about hazards. It's a pilot program, but it's showing promise. Chen considered this. Redemption wasn't something he'd expected to offer to pirates. But if they were genuinely willing to change, to contribute positively, perhaps there was value in it. Monitor it closely, he ordered. But if it works, if we can turn former pirates into productive members of society, that's a better outcome than just warehousing them in prisons for decades. Yes, sir. There's one more thing. Okafor pulled up a display showing a remote sector of space. We've been tracking the 2 Vathek ships that escaped from the New Harmony battle. They returned to their territories and have been quiet. Very quiet. We haven't detected a single raiding operation from any Vathek clan in 3 months. Good, Chen said. That means the message got through. The Vathek learned that their old way of life is over. The question now is whether they can adapt to a new one. On the Vathek fortress moon of Karesh, old chieftain Vrakesh stood before a gathering of younger warriors. Many were orphans, their parents killed in the disastrous fleet action at New Harmony, or captured in subsequent raids. They looked at him with confused eyes, uncertain about their future in a galaxy that no longer feared their species. You ask me what becomes of the Vathek now, Vrakesh said, his voice carrying the weight of his many years. You ask if we are defeated, if our warrior traditions are dead. I tell you this, we are not defeated. We are transformed. He activated a display showing human combat footage, not from their perspective, but from careful analysis of their tactics. The humans taught us something we had forgotten. Being a warrior is not about preying on the weak. True warriors protect their people, defend their territories, stand against threats. The humans are warriors. We were merely raiders pretending to be warriors. The young Vathek stirred, some showing anger at this assessment. Vrakesh held up one clawed hand for silence. I know this angers you. It angered me as well. But watch. He played footage of human Marines rescuing Vathek wounded after the Battle of New Harmony. See how they treat even their enemies with honor. See how they care for the defeated. This is what true warriors do. He changed the display to show new Vathek ships, different designs than the old raiding vessels. The humans have offered us a choice. Join the new Concordat as security forces. Use our warrior skills to protect trade routes instead of raiding them. Earn an honest living as defenders rather than thieves. Some clans have refused and fled to the outer reaches. They will die there, clinging to the old ways until there's nothing left. He looked each young warrior in the eye. I have chosen differently. I have signed the treaty with the humans. We will train with them, learn from them, and eventually patrol alongside them. We will still be warriors, but we will be warriors with honor. Warriors who protect rather than prey. Warriors worthy of the title. The response was mixed. Some young Vathek looked thoughtful, considering this new path. Others looked betrayed, as if Vrakesh had surrendered their heritage. He understood both reactions. Change was never easy, especially when it came from defeat. The choice is yours, Vrakesh concluded. Follow me into this new future, or follow those who cling to the past. But understand this, the galaxy has changed. The humans have changed it. We can change with it or be left behind in extinction. I choose to survive. I choose to adapt. I choose to learn what true warriors do. Captain Marcus Reeves received the reports about the Vathek Treaty with interest. Some clans joining the new Concordat as security forces. It was an unexpected development, but one that made sense. The Vathek were natural warriors. Better to give them an outlet for those instincts that served society rather than destroyed it. Ensign Shrikta entered the bridge with a data pad, his feathers sleek with excitement. Captain, you need to see this. Piracy statistics for the past week. Reeves took the pad and studied the numbers. Only 3 attempted raids across the entire monitored sector. All 3 raiders had fled when response forces arrived. 0 casualties. 0 losses. 3 attempts, Reeves murmured. 6 months ago it would have been 3 dozen. The message is getting through. More than that, sir, Shrikta said. 2 of those 3 raiding groups have since contacted authorities requesting amnesty in exchange for information. They're giving up. Reeves felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in a long time. Hope. Not the desperate hope that things might get better, but the solid, grounded hope that came from seeing actual results. The galaxy was changing. Predators were learning that their old way of life was over. Good, he said simply. That's very good, an alert chimed. Another vessel decelerating from FTL. The sensors identified it as a Sorinth freighter, civilian registry. They were hailing the Merchant's Hope. Put them through, Reeves ordered. A Sorinth captain appeared on the view screen, his reptilian features showing what Reeves had learned to recognize as relief. Captain Reeves, I wanted to thank you personally. Last month, my ship was raided by pirates in the Outer Vale. Your patrol group responded in 8 minutes and drove them off before they could breach our hull. You saved my crew, my cargo, and my livelihood. I just wanted you to know that it matters. What you do matters. Reeves felt the words hit him harder than he expected. For months, they'd been fighting, capturing, sometimes killing pirates. It was easy to lose sight of why they were doing it. This reminder, this simple thank you from a civilian captain, brought it all back into focus. You're welcome, Captain, Reeves replied. Safe travels. And remember, if you run into trouble again, we're just a distress call away. After the transmission ended, Reeves sat quietly for a moment. Shrikta stood nearby, sensing his captain's mood. That's why we do this, Reeves said, not really addressing anyone in particular. Not for glory or recognition. Not even really for justice, though that matters too. We do it so that Captain can make his delivery and go home to his family without fear. So that families can take transport ships without wondering if they'll arrive safely. So that the galaxy can be a place where hard work and honest trade can thrive. He turned to look at his young ensign. You asked earlier what happens if someone tests us again. Here's the complete answer. We respond with overwhelming force because that's what creates security. But the goal isn't the fighting. The goal is reaching the point where the fighting isn't necessary anymore. Where our reputation alone is enough to keep predators away. Where ships like that Sorinth freighter can travel safely. Because everyone knows attacking them brings consequences they can't survive. Shrikta nodded slowly, understanding, crystallizing. You're not trying to rule the galaxy. You're trying to make it safe enough that it doesn't need rulers. Exactly, Reeves confirmed. We're not conquerors. We're not empire builders. We're just people who refuse to accept a galaxy where might made right, and the strong preyed on the weak. And it turns out when you fight back hard enough, when you make it clear you won't tolerate predators, others start fighting back too. The Shalara, the Sorinth, your people, the Krelith, even some Vathek clans. He gestured to the star-filled viewport. 6 months ago, this galaxy spoke in fear. Civilians feared pirates. Weak species feared strong ones. Everyone accepted that violence and theft were just part of life in space. Today, things are different. Today, the galaxy is learning to speak in something else. In cooperation. In mutual defense. In the shared understanding that we're all safer when we protect each other. And if that fails, Shrikta asked. If cooperation isn't enough? Captain Marcus Reeves smiled, and this time there was warmth in it, but also steel. The warmth of someone who believed in peace, but the steel of someone ready to fight for it. Then humanity speaks in fire, he said quietly, and the galaxy listens. Every single time. We speak in fire and predators burn and the innocent are protected. That's the promise we made when we joined this galactic community. That's the promise we'll keep as long as necessary. He stood, straightening his uniform. But I don't think it will be necessary much longer. The message is spreading. The old ways are dying, and something better is being born. A galaxy where civilian ships like ours can travel safely. Where families can build lives without fear. Where strength is measured not by who you can prey upon, but by who you're willing to protect. The Merchant's Hope sailed on through the stars, a simple cargo ship that was anything but simple. Behind it stretched a wake of changed policies, reformed pirates, and saved lives. Ahead lay more challenges, more threats, more predators who hadn't yet learned the lesson. But they would learn. One way or another, peacefully or by force, they would learn, because the galaxy had spoken in fear for far too long. Now humanity spoke in fire, and the age of predators was ending.